Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a couple of cases actually of a climate change protester, and they cause absolute havoc in the downtown of a city. They barricade a road, or they park a truck across the road, or they engage in very disruptive levels of activism. And of course, they're allowed to, they're permitted to do that, because like when you're fighting, people who oppose mass migration, the only people who would oppose mass migration are Hitler personally. So when you go against those people, you are fighting Hitler, and that is a good cause. And so you're allowed to do anything. You can break any law in fighting Hitler. Of course you can. Why not? It's like the medieval, legal societies. Well, they can break any law and do anything, because they're fighting the devil, and that allows them to do whatever they want. And if you have a problem with them doing that, then you support the devil, which means we'll come after you. And the same sort of thing, today. And climate change is no different. The planet is going to end tomorrow, so whatever we do is in a good cause, and we're allowed to do it. So whatever harm we cause now is in the higher cause, is in support of the higher cause of saving the planet. We are therefore good people by doing bad things. Anyway, so now what sort of struck me about this one climate change protester I'm thinking of here, they they're asked actually to move on several times. If you move on now, all the disruption you've caused, all the problems you've caused, if you move on now, we won't arrest you. So the climate change protests are full of the righteousness of I'm doing good by doing bad. Refuses to move on, and only after repeated requests, very indulgent police, very indulgent, not the same indulgence that if it's supposed to be right-wing, someone who's against mass migration, they can get locked up real quick. There's a guy in England who got a couple of years in prison because he made stickers that said it's okay to be white or something, and he got a couple of years in prison for that. I mean, wow. Whereas this climate change, the police are begging them to move on. Please, we don't want to arrest you. Ideologically, we don't want to arrest you, so please move on. Please, pretty please. And the protester says, no, get lost, I'm staying here. And so the police have to arrest them. Now, they then get taken into court, very lenient treatment. They somehow managed to get a judge who's very sympathetic to the climate change cause. I mean, how do they arrange that? But on top of that, they get free legal assistance. Doesn't cost them a penny, and they had to travel a distance to the court, and even that was paid for. So, and someone's providing them with food and accommodation. I mean, everything is paid. These people aren't out of pocket one penny for this activism. So clearly, someone's funding all this. That never comes up in court. I mean, who's paying for all this? Did anyone put you up to doing this climate activism? Were you paid to do it? Who paid for those placards you got? So I would do, if I was a judge or a prosecutor, I would do. But strangely, none of that gets done. So the person's able to, while acting on behalf of others, clearly, they're able to be prosecuted just as an individual. And the people in the background are pulling all the strings, providing all the cash. They don't get touched. Isn't that amazing? It almost seems like it's prearranged. Anyway, this climate activist was given, I think, something like 4 weekends or 10 days in prison. I mean, the lightest slap on the wrist given the ruckus they caused. But we're not having that, says the climate activist group. So we're appealing this to a higher court. So they go to a higher court, they lose that. They then go to an appeal court, they lose that. They then go to the fucking Supreme Court of the district, of the region, and they lose that. Not only that, but a few days gets added on to the very, very light sentence that they got from the lower court. So I think they're in prison for 3 or 4 weeks or something now. But again, very light sentence. It'll be, it's like a low security prison farm thing. People are there on day release and all sorts of stuff. So we're not talking a heavyweight oppressive sort of situation there. When people are free to move around and tend to the gardens and so on and so forth. So anyway, that's the situation there. And but I was looking at the cost of all this representation, all the filing fees, the court fees, the transport fees, the accommodation, the cost. We're talking quite a lot of money here, and all this is paid for by the NGO that this person is a member of, and clearly set the whole thing up. And yet this NGO doesn't get prosecuted. They just walk away scot-free. There's another case was the same, but this one was after the third appeal or something. The very light sentence was taken away, and they just got a fine instead. But again, you're looking at a lot of money is being thrown around here. All these supposedly pro bono lawyers that are running around. They're not, of course. They're paid by the NGO indirectly in some way. But again, these activists have access to all this free legal representation. Everything is laid on, and again, meeting all their out-of-pocket costs. And even when they hire, a truck to transport the placards and the other bits and pieces, that's all paid for again by the NGO. And yet these NGOs are never prosecuted. Yet they're able to operate as charities, tax-free and exempt from all sorts of scrutiny that would otherwise be applicable if they didn't have that charity status. So, and anyone that donates to them gets a tax deduction. So, and this entire NGO and everything under the NGO wider umbrella is there directly acting on behalf of the globalists to disrupt, undermine, and generally fuck up all the Western democracies. And it's being done with the full assistance and support of the Western governments that are, of course, controlled by the globalists. You've been a Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.